In San Francisco, the health workers and counselors on the front lines of the opioid epidemic feel the human toll of overdoses, professionally and personally.
We are getting deaths. I just had a personal patient just die this last week. And it's difficult.
Gilbert Sains is counseling supervisor at Bay Area Addiction Research and Treatment Center, or BART. He understands firsthand what San Francisco statistics are showing.
I am sad to report that 84 people died of an accidental overdose in August.
On Monday, the Department of Public Health announced the number of fatal opioid overdoses tied a record level. In response, the city announced the rollout of a new dashboard on the SF.gov website. It will show data on monthly overdoses as well as other numbers of people receiving treatment.
Well, we're going to switch gears here to the West Coast. And we've discussed about the drug mills that are happening in New York, where children have either been sent to the hospital or have died. There have been many arrests, and I know there's more out there to come. There's one or more people on the run right now. Hopefully they will catch up to them. But here's another situation that is rarely discussed. Deaths by overdose throughout the country. Now, we're going to take one particular city, one of the worst overdoses in the country. And, this is a situation, and this is, once again, politics to the situation. We already have Chicago, who's lost a lot of stores, wants to open up their own supermarkets. That's communism there. Government-controlled stores. Literally, that's a playbook in Marxism. Especially since the people that are trying to do this are Marxists themselves. But we've got a zombie apocalypse, something out of The Walking Dead on our streets here in the U.S., and it's only just getting worse day by day. What the when everything breaks at the seams and you feel like you're losing belief, and damn it, you just gotta stay strong when it all falls apart and goes wrong, when you feel let down and so lost, and it feels like you can't hold on. Well, damn it, you just gotta stay strong, 'cause sometimes things go wrong, and one day everything's gone, but you can make it out and move on. So damn it, you just gotta stay strong. San Francisco, we know San Francisco has been, they're pretty much a dead city right now. A lot of the major even Nike has moved out of there due to all the thefts that have been going on in there. You have shit all over the cities, needles, encampments, and as much as the city council, the mayor have tried to do something, still they haven't done anything. Truly, that's the truth. You think they've done something, but they haven't. But we're going to read into this because this is a major situation, and we've discussed New York, we've discussed Philadelphia, but now it's San Francisco we need to talk about. San Francisco's drug overdose hits record high. It's like a zombie apocalypse. San Francisco hits another record high when it comes to drug overdoses in the Democratic City, with almost 85 deaths last month. And residents say the alarming numbers are just more proof the city has turned into a zombie apocalypse. The city by the Bay saw 84 deaths in the month of August, with 66 of them involving the deadly drug fentanyl. It tied January for the deadliest month since the city began tracking overdose deaths in the beginning of 2020. This year is on pace to exceed 2020 deaths, which hit the record high of 725, according to the reports by San Francisco officials. More than 506 users have died this year, and another 300 are expected to die by the end of the year. It is crazy, so sad out here. It's like a zombie apocalypse. Georgina Taylor, 21, who is homeless and abuses fentanyl, told the San Francisco Chronicle. You can't help people who don't want help. The drug crisis has become so normalized in the city that a man lay twitching on the Mission Street for minutes before anyone realized he was overdosing. Fellow drug addict Will Kettrick, who was about to take a hit of fentanyl, was the one who noticed the running over to the unconscious man and beginning CPR, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. Someone help, bring some Narcan, Kettrick, 39, yelled. Another homeless man dashed into his tent to grab a dispensed opioid reversing drug into the man's arm, saving him. That's the fourth person I've saved in the last week and a half, Kedrick recalled to the Chronicle. I'm just glad I'm not the one who have died. And maybe you should stop using it if you've seen this many people almost die. I've saved people and then later I hear they died and it just tears you up. That might be me someday. Open-air drug markets are the norm in the Democratic-led cities, and streets are filled with addicts overdosing and walking around like zombies on train. Kedrick and Taylor are hoping to get clean again, but the former says it's so hard to do. You could sell it on Catalina Island and people will get on rafts to go out there to buy it, he told the Chronicle. Drug overdoses in San Francisco have steadily climbed since 2017, peaking in 2020. They dropped by 85 people in 2021 before rising again in 2022, according to the San Francisco government. San Francisco police have attempted to thwart the drug markets in high-profile areas, such as the Tenderloin. Police have seized 100 pounds of fentanyl between June and September. In addition, more than 1,000 people have been arrested for the use or sale of narcotics, according to the police. Only 100 pounds? 100 pounds? That's, even though that is a lot, I've seen other police reports that they've had several hundred or a couple of thousand pounds. You know, just in one little police raid in New York, they had about 5 or 6 pounds of cocaine they picked up in just one, you know. And that's just one issue. There's a lot of it out there. And the thing about it is the police are not fully investigating. They're not, their hands are tied, especially in places like San Francisco. You know, you have San Francisco out there that the police literally have been thrown aside. You know, they can't do their job anymore. And I'll tell you, this is, you know, people like saying, well, you're making it up there. These are the liberal cities. Yes, there are drugs in every state. But the thing about it is, look at the difference on the numbers and what has been going on in each of the liberal cities. And especially those who have legalized recreational marijuana. And now you're hearing legalization of mushrooms that is going on right now. Places like Oregon, who's legalizing it. You know, this, you know, and also in Rhode Island, I think is the other one. And also California was running a bill for that situation. You're legalizing these drugs. And meanwhile, you have these people ODing on some of this stuff out there. And you might say so, well, you know, you don't hear people ODing on mushrooms or, you know, or cannabis that we know of, number one. Number two, on the cannabis trade, you have the edibles who are more dangerous than smoking marijuana. You know, oh yeah, listen to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has mentioned it on one of his podcasts that edibles are more dangerous than smoking it.
On some of the worst trips I've ever seen people have was from edible pot.
Oh.
Edible pot is one of the strongest things that people don't recognize. Mm-hmm. It's a very different drug than smoking it. And when you think of things that can take you down the rabbit hole, you don't think of edible pot. Mm-mm. People think of pot as just like, oh, you're going to get high. Maybe you can get too high, but you're just getting high. But when you eat it, it's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Literally, like physiologically, it's a different animal.
Really?
Yeah, it creates something called 11-hydroxy metabolite that's 5 times more psychoactive than THC. And
what?
It's not even psychoactive in smoking it. It's a different drug. That's
it does feel different.
It's a totally different drug.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah, it's a different drug. It's
because it has a higher content. And there's some additives that are on there that just literally, this is why kids are ending up in emergency rooms. There has been an increase throughout the country, especially places where recreational marijuana has been approved. And the thing is, they're not getting it legally, they're getting it illegally. See, the thing is, here's the funny part again. And I've said this on numerous occasions. New York is the perfect example. New York, the cannabis law has failed. Right now, the licenses are on hold while there is a major lawsuit going on. Because New York State has violated the Constitution and violated their own law, mind you, when it comes to handing out the licenses. They've handed out more licenses to people with criminal backgrounds, which, they say, well, they were arrested for, marijuana possession. But understand this, how many of them, I'm going to tell you this, how many of them have had plea downs from their original cases where they've had a larger crime, they pleaded guilty to lesser of marijuana possession, which basically they got a little time in jail. They got freed maybe within the year or two, where they were supposed to be spending a little bit more than 10 years for something else that they may have violated. And just the district attorney decided hey, listen, you want to plead guilty, we'll, let you out this way. There are a good amount of them. And some of them have gotten licenses to sell marijuana in New York State. And the thing about it is, are they getting it from the grow farms? Some of them probably. Others, I could probably almost guarantee that they're not. You hear the same thing out of California, that basically a lot of the legal stores are buying their stuff from illegal grow centers, bypassing the taxes. And, they just want to push these drug events on there. But understand, folks, you may sit to yourself and say, well, marijuana is good for you. Understand, it's still a drug. Aspirin is a drug. Okay? There are many other drugs that handle, for example, like Eliquis, Xarelto. You take a lot of that, you can get sick. You could end up ODing very easily. Where did you think we got opioids from? Well, they said, oh yeah, we'll give you these painkillers. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You're not going to get addicted. Meanwhile, you had a lot of addictions now to this day where people were dying from that. How do you think we got fentanyl in the mix in there? People don't realize when you pass certain laws and regulations, you think you're helping people, but you're not. You're just trying to push political points. And this is what the politicians have done. They've pushed political points. Again, I said, medicinal marijuana, that should have been gone by and controlled. Not where someone can go to a doctor and says, well, listen, I got a pain in my knee on there. Oh, I'm pregnant and, Because remember, you are still smoking this. For those ladies that say, well, you know, I just want to get rid of the nausea and stuff like that. Yes, you're putting smoke into your lungs and into the baby's lungs, just like a cigarette. Okay? Think about that for a minute. You're not taking a pill. You're not taking, you know, oils or inhaling oils, which still that would be dangerous too. You're smoking it. It's still like having a cigarette. It's still smoking. How much more do you have to think that how bad could it be for your body? You say, well, it's natural. Well, so is tobacco. And tobacco gets mixed with other elements, just like the marijuana that's being made today. Just like the cocaine that's being mixed with fentanyl. And tranq. You've seen it, what's happening in San Francisco. This is a danger in our cities. The worst thing to have done is to try to legalize a lot of these drugs. What's next? Cocaine? I remember years ago they were trying to, and they were laughed out. They were laughed out of the Senate. Is that how you're going to make a drug legal? Well, it'll stop the illegal trade. It's never going to. When will you sit down and say it's never going to stop the illegal trade? Well, you know, this war on drugs, it didn't work out well. Yeah, because it wasn't done correctly. What you have to do, you have to go after these drug dealers. There must be stiffer penalties with these drug dealers. They must, you know, people go like, well, you know, it's minorities. If someone, it doesn't matter what color the skin they are, if they're selling crack, if they're selling cocaine, if they're selling tranq laced with fentanyl to our children, do you think they shouldn't go to jail? They said, well, you know, it was hard for them. Why would they go into a drug trade? Because there's a lot of money into it. They don't care what happens on the other end. It's the same way with our pharmaceutical companies. They don't care what happens, as long as it's padded to their budget. And what they're getting in their pockets, lining their pockets. How many more people you need to die before we go to total war with the cartels and China and everywhere else these drugs are manufactured? How many more bodies do we need? How many more tens of thousands of people have to die needlessly? These people need help. That's the first thing you need to do. You want to get rid of the drugs? Okay, here's what you need to do first. Help these people get out of their drug habit. There are some ways, and there are ways that basically there are drugs that are available that help remove some of the addiction. And the only reason it hasn't been approved in the United States is because pharmaceutical companies cannot profit from this particular drug. Because it's a one-time thing. It's a one-time drug. It's been here for a long time. And yeah, research needs to be done on it to make sure it works properly. But yet other countries use it constantly still. Like I said, the pharmaceutical companies cannot profit from it. Think about that for a minute. So once again, hey, you know, these are the things that needs to be done. Get rid of the people that are taking these drugs. And I'm talking about cure them. Get them the help they need. Because basically, if you get rid of their customers, you know, there's no one else left for them to make money off of. And they'll go out of business. But who am I to say but a madman with the show?
Thanks for watching. Before you go, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share this video. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe as it helps us increase the reach of our channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help fund this and many other channels. If you wish to help grow this channel by financial support, you have two ways. There are two links below. One link will send you to a direct pay site where you can make a donation. The second link will send you to our gear store where you can purchase t-shirts, mugs, and other specialty items. Any additional discounts will be listed on the main page. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.